Hey guys, today our video is going to be a review on Queen and Slim. The first half of the video is going to be a non-spoiler review. We're going to just talk about what the movie is about. In the second half, we're going to go into more detail. With me today is my fiance, Jasmine.
Hey.
She went to the movies to see it with me, so I brought her along to kind of see how she felt, and we're going to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Queen and Slim at its core is it's a love story, and it's a road trip movie. A lot of people are comparing it to Bonnie and Clyde, but it's nothing like Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde was a couple that was robbing banks and sticking up stores, and this isn't what this movie is about. It's about two normal people who get caught up in a weird circumstance.
I can't lie. When it first started out, I was like, oh yeah, they finna be Bonnie and Clyde. They finna be on the road. They finna be living this thug life, but it really wasn't like that. I was ready for it though. It started out that way, but it was completely different. Even from I want to say the little previews of, the movie before it came out, I had this whole different perspective of the movie, but it was completely different and I loved it.
Yeah, me too. I think I kind of knew what it was about because I watched Lena Waithe, who's the writer. I watched her do a couple interviews and she kept saying that it was a love story, but like she said, based off of the trailers, I'm like, man, they finna be on the run. They finna be taking people out, but that's not what it is. The movie starts off with Queen and Slim. They met on Tinder and they just wanted to have a date and have a nice night out, and they encounter something that I think a lot of us as black people, we fear is getting pulled over by the cops, especially at night. The pullover goes wrong, they accidentally shoot the cop, and their next decision is we either stay here and die or we gotta run. So they chose to run. All right, so the main characters. Slim is actually played by Daniel Kaluuya. I hope I didn't mess his name up. He actually was the star in Get Out. He's also played in Black Panther. He's played in Widows, and he's really just a normal, simple guy in the movie who he's a family man and he loves his life, and he didn't even really want all this drama.
She was ready for it though. She was down for the cause.
She's actually referring to Queen, which is played by Jodie Turner-Smith. And this is actually her very first movie. She's never been in any feature films before.
I would have never known. She looks like a model, though. I would have thought that she was a model. She's tall and slender, and she has this swag and this walk. I thought she was a model.
Yeah.
And actually told me that he's English. And I would have never known.
Yes, both of them are actually, I don't want to say Jodie is British. She might be, but I know that they're both not American. And that's actually caused a little backlash within the community online because they're feeling like a lot of the British actors or the foreign actors are coming over and playing the roles of Americans and, well, African Americans of the lives that they haven't lived. But I feel like if you black, you black. When you get pulled over by the police, they don't know if you British. They don't know if you African. They don't know if you Jamaican. They just know you black.
Yeah, we all go through the same thing everywhere.
All right, so the movie is actually written by Lena Waithe, and it's directed by Melina Masuka.
Lena Waithe is the lady who wore the rainbow cape at the Met Gala.
I think it was the Met Gala. I don't know, but we gonna find out, Lena. We don't know where you wore that, but it was memorable.
Yeah, but I liked it that. Yeah.
We remember you. I remember you from more than the cape. She remember you from the cape. I know you work, girl. The director was actually Melina Masuka. And Melina Masuka, this is her first movie. She's never directed a movie before either, but she's done a ton of videos. She's did Beyonce's Formation video, so that's why you can kind of see
the police and stuff.
Well, you can see the feel of it, the cinematography, and she's done a lot of Rihanna videos. So Melina Masuka did a great job with filming this and directing it. It looked wonderful.
Yeah, it did. It was very, very nice. I was all in the movie, completely zoned in as soon as it started.
Yeah, it was. She did a good job. Next, we're going to talk about some of the pros and the cons, and then we're going to deep dive into the spoiler reviews.
Spoilers! I'm ready for the spoilers.
She want to spoil stuff.
Do the pros and cons.
Okay. So, the biggest pro, like I said, was the cinematography. The way it looked, like the way that their dark skin was filmed, or when it got to Florida and it was kind of bright outside, or when it was just filmed so well.
Like I like how you said like their dark skin, and like even when they get sweaty, or when they were like just going through different stuff, it was amazing. You have to see it.
She did a great job. I see what people meant about Moonlight, because we seen Moonlight, remember?
Yeah.
And a lot of people talked about how great Moonlight was, and I might have to go back and watch Moonlight. I didn't think Moonlight was that great, but I see what they meant by the cinematography of it, because the cinematography is similar. It's dark shades, it's dark hues, but it all looks perfect. Like,
it just confused me. The movie did.
What?
Moonlight.
Oh,
that was confusing.
We gotta watch it again.
Yeah, give it another try.
We'll go back and watch Moonlight again. Another pro that I had was the soundtrack and the music. Everything hit at the right time.
At the very right time. Like I said, I was all in. I wasn't paying her no attention. We was on a date. I wasn't paying her no attention. I ain't want no popcorn. I ain't had no drink. I was nothing. I was like into the movie.
Yeah, the music like fit. Like every scene when the music came in, it was perfect, regardless if it was just like a I was like, yeah, that's my song. A little sultry scene, or if it was like a hype scene, or I think the most memorable song was when they got into New Orleans and Solange's song played. Oh yeah, that was just
that's it.
Perfect. They did a great job.
Hey Solange.
My final and last pro, and this is no shot down to Daniel at all. I felt like the actress owned the movie. I felt like Jodie owned this movie.
She did.
For it to be her first movie.
And when you watch the movie, you're going to be like, yeah, she owned the movie, and she owned every scene of the movie, and she owned the man who she was playing with in the movie, Daniel. She owned him too. She owned everything.
I ain't going to say she owned Daniel, but she...
Listen, ladies, I'm telling you, sis took control.
Her presence was definitely felt in the movie.
And she was letting you know. I'm going to watch it again, because I need to learn some tips from sis.
No, we're not doing all that.
Yeah, you got to get strong.
All right, so next I'm going to move on to my cons. A couple of my cons she doesn't agree with, but they're going to be my cons. The one con that stood out to me was they did make some questionable decisions throughout the movie, like the couple. Like with them being on the run, some of the things that they did, it was kind of just like, ugh, did y'all really have to do that? The second con was I didn't realize how long the movie was until I got out, because to me it felt like we were so involved with the characters that we didn't realize how much time went by. And when I got out, I was like, wow, that was a 2-hour movie.
It was very relatable. And even with like what she's saying, like with the decisions that they made, I was the same way. I'm like, oh my God, why are they doing all of this? They need to go. But it clicked, like even in any situation that you're going through, you have to find the silver lining. So they were definitely enjoying their time, even on the run. So that's when I calmed down about it. I'm like, okay, I get it now.
I think it also showcases this thing about us as Black people. Like even when times are tough and we're mad or we're going through very traumatic things, we always find a way to laugh, because there was some comedic spots in the movie. It wasn't just all serious and hard.
Yeah.
And it did showcase them being, just like she said, just living. Like, we already know we on the run. We're not going to stop living our life. We're going to do some things we wanted to do. Even though it did seem questionable at the time, I still kind of understood what the writer did. I understood what Lena was doing. She was trying to showcase that even though you're going through this bad thing, don't forget to just breathe. Sometimes as Black people, we don't breathe. We're just always uptight. And we gotta go.
Bills, kids, school, and we don't find the time for ourselves. And they definitely found more times for themselves than I find time in my own life.
Now we're gonna move on to the spoiler review. So if you haven't seen it, stop. Don't watch anymore. We're going to deep dive and we're going to get into some of the spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
So for me, the first thing I kind of want to dig into is this movie's very, very traumatic and triggering. Like, even the first 20 minutes, I knew what was going to happen. But as soon as the police officer pulled him over, I instantly, like, I felt so uncomfortable. Like, I was instantly, like, triggered. I felt bad.
Like, oh, here we go again. Like, that's how I felt. Like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this. You know, like, my goodness.
So it's definitely triggering. And I've seen, like, some people on Twitter pretty much kind of saying what you're saying, but in a different sense. They're saying, like, oh my God, here we go again. Why we keep making these movies about black bodies and black people getting killed? I'm tired of it. To be honest, like I said, I was triggered, but I was happy at the end of this movie. I felt like this movie needed to be made because even though it was traumatic, it still was a good story that was told. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. And for those people, how I feel is we can have both. Like, we can have traumatic movies, but then also Issa Rae has a great movie coming up called The Photograph. If you don't want to see something traumatic, check that out.
But even though it was traumatic with the police scene itself, I think it had other traumatic things.
Oh, yeah, besides that. Yeah.
In the movie that we can all relate
Yes.
to. Like one part when she kind of opened up about her mother and how she felt about her mother. And, you know, I think all of us go through that with, you know, either parent. We either, you know, dislike our father or we dislike our mother for, you know, various reasons. So it's different
traumas throughout the movie. So that's what I meant by traumatic, not just the police. Like, you had like she said, her Queen's issues with her mother, and, you know, Slim struggling with himself throughout the movie because, like I said, he is a family man. He wanted to call his family. He wanted to let his family know. And Queen is like, I don't care about my family. I ain't telling my family nothing.
She also had a strong personality, too.
Yes.
From the very beginning, like, he's really laid back. Like, you know, I love this restaurant. You know, I eat here because it's black owned, and, you know, and she's just like,
Yeah.
So.
That actually brought up a talking point that I was going to speak on, too. When Queen was first introduced, I was really scared because I'm like, I don't want her to be the angry black woman. But if you paid attention to the movie, she started out very strong and aggressive, but by the end of the movie, she was so vulnerable. She was so at peace. And the closer they got down to the ending point, like, it really took a turn when she cut her hair.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back and watch the movie, when she cut her hair, she instantly became more vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are not.
Off of us, listen, you take that hair off, you don't have no choice but to embrace all of you and what you come with. But I also, to bounce off of what you said at the beginning about her character, I didn't get the feel that she was going to be an angry black woman. I was scared that they were going to portray her character as like this I want to say like sedity type black woman that's very high up in her career, and she only want to like date this specific type of man, and she's kind of like ill. So that's the type of vibe that she was giving me, and I was like, oh man, they done messed up the character.
Yeah. But by the end, she was still her, but you could tell she became comfortable with Slim, and she was able to be a little bit more. Yeah. And I think that happens a lot with black women. Anytime we show any little, it's like, oh, you being a B, or you being too aggressive, or you're being this, instead of really understanding the deeper wounds or the deeper things that we've been through. And that was really good for me on how they developed her character. A lot of people aren't really noticing that. A lot of people who saw the movie, from what I'm seeing, thought she was just like bad throughout the whole movie, but she really turned when she got to New Orleans and cut her hair. And I think that was on purpose too.
Yeah, and it also just shows that we don't know people and we don't know where they come from. Like we thinking that, like I said, like she's just some woman who's high up in her position and she's just become this, you know, sedity person that nobody really likes. But honestly, she, you know, her uncle is in New Orleans. She probably, you know, been to New Orleans or from New Orleans, and, you know, just very cultivated.
She was from New Orleans because remember the uncle killed the mom over the house.
Yeah, and see, you know, that just gives her more of a cultural type, I guess, character, and that's why we was able to get to see that when she did get to New Orleans. Like, her whole character just flipped. And that just goes to show, like I said, you don't know people and where they come from just because of how they may present themselves in the beginning.
Speaking of her uncle, how did you feel about Bokeem Woodbine?
I love him. I love him every time he gets in a movie. He never does any wrong. He was very funny at the beginning, but he was also very real too.
Yeah.
He was very real, but he was also very funny.
Yeah.
What else? You know, I like with what is her name from?
Okay, so this is, I don't want you to spoil it.
Okay.
So there's actually a trans person in the movie.
You spoiling it.
But I'm not going to say who that person is.
Okay.
And another interesting fact about this trans person, and I really want to shout this person out. She said she's trans in the movie.
Oh.
She's not a woman.
Okay.
So it's a little sprinkle of some LGBT in there. So Bokeem got a little freaky side.
But I just wanted to say that, you know, she said some real stuff to her, you know, during the movie. She was just like, you know, your uncle feels like he's no one out there.
Yeah.
You know, and it was not even just him as a person, but I guess as a black man, you know, he's no one out there. But in here, you know, he's king.
Yeah.
And that really stuck to me because small things like that is what make people happy.
Yeah.
Like, and we may look at it like, oh my God, he got this house full of women. This is just a mess. But, you know, she was right. Like, out there, the black man is nothing.
Another spoiler that I wanted to kind of dig into, based off the trailer, you would think that this is a very Black Lives Matter, high racial tension movie. But like I said at the beginning, it's really a love story. So that kind of surprised me because I really thought it was going to be a heavy activist movie, but it really wasn't. It really was just, like I said, a love story.
And here I am on the left by looking at like the picture that's going around of the actual movie of them like on the car. Like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like an old school type movie. It's gonna be like back in the 60s or the 70s because of their clothes and the whole vibe, and it was black and white. So I'm like, okay, so this gonna be some real Bonnie and Clyde type stuff for real.
And it just wasn't that.
Yeah, it just took me for a loop. And like she said, the movie was 2 hours long, but we were so into it. I didn't even realize it was 2 hours. I thought it was like a regular hour and 30 minute long because I didn't want it to stop.
Yeah. If you really go into this movie with an open mind and know that it's a love story and know that it's not a shoot 'em up bang bang, it's still not boring because you're still invested in these characters. You want to know what's going to happen, and man, I hope they make it to wherever they're trying to go. So you can there's still tension. It isn't just like, okay, why is this taking so long?
Each message that was delivered, it was easy to get. Like, it wasn't hard to try to like read into the movie to see what message was trying to be conveyed.
Straightforward.
It was very straightforward and easy to understand, like straight off the bat.
Some messages wasn't. I seen a lot of people were upset about the riot scene and the kid Junior shooting the cop. I seen a lot of people upset about that scene.
I think they may have been upset, but I don't think they didn't understand. Like, I completely understood. I'm like, they influenced him and didn't realize that they influenced a small kid because I knew he wasn't going to back. I felt it. Like, I knew he wasn't going to back. Like, he was so intrigued by them. He wanted to take their picture. Like, he, you know, was really, like, intrigued by them. And that was another message. Like, we do influence kids.
Yeah, and that's what Lena Waithe talked about. She pretty much said he was put there to showcase that we influence these kids, regardless if it's good or bad. And the thing with kids, especially black kids, that they may not understand or know the depths of what's going on, but they like to imitate. So she said, like, when you're looking at the rappers or they're imitating their favorite athlete, like they're doing it on the surface level and not really understanding, you know, what goes into it.
They're like still innocent as kids, so it's like they're role models.
Yeah. So. Another thing that was interesting to me was the whole subtle way they brought in the Underground Railroad. Like, that was just so awesome to me. And it was the reverse Underground Railroad because back in the day, the railroad went from the south to the north. The movie started at the north. It went from Ohio down to New Orleans to Georgia, and it ended in Florida. So it really was a representation of the reverse Underground Railroad. And I also enjoyed the white couple, which was played by Flea. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but that was Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I thought the wife was gonna be the snitch.
Me too. And like she said, the whole Underground Railroad, immediately when I saw them getting that floor, I'm like, oh, that's where they used to hide slaves at. I'm like, this is, this
is
really
what they do.
This is another trigger. It's triggering up some stuff. And I'm like, this is what they used to do up north. When the slaves came from the south and they go up north, you did have, white people hiding the slaves to protect them so that they can, get their papers, to be free and stuff like that. So that was another like history thing that they did throw in there. That was really good. But yeah, I thought the wife was going to snitch and I was going to get mad. I'm like, look at this shit. But it was actually people across the street that called. Yeah,
I thought as soon as the feds separate them, oh, it's a wrap. She's telling everything. She's snitching. Because she was breaking down. Yeah. But she held strong. You held strong, sister. You did not tell.
Him and she just... Because that money that was on their head was sounding real nice.
Yeah, that $500,000. It was. Another thing that I want to kind of talk about is some of the unspoken things in our culture that they put in there. So, for instance, when they took a stop in the club and the lady gave him the free drinks and she was like, oh, I know who you are. Or just like when you out in public, especially black men, when you out in public and you see another dude and he give you good energy and you just like, what's up? So it's unspoken things in our community that was like sprinkled in and out that movie that I enjoyed too.
And it was also more of a mirror of our community too, because this movie, it more so portrayed on how we could stick together and how we could, help each other in our community. They stuck together like tough for these people in this movie, and they knew who they were. Yeah. But here in, now in our world, we don't stick that close together
as much as we should. Like we should. I think we're getting better, but we could be better. We could be a lot more better. Even the mechanic, like, he didn't agree with what they were doing. He's like, I'm not down for it. I don't like it, but he's still like, I'm gonna look out.
Yeah, these are our people. Like,
I'm gonna look out
from the bar. Like, y'all can have a free drink tonight. Y'all got a lot going on, and even the mechanic, like, I'm gonna fix the car for y'all tonight because y'all need to get to where y'all trying to go. Like, everywhere they went, everybody was like showing love instead of like hate or immediately trying to call the police or just acting out of control. Even what they did was wrong. It's just showing that we can stick together for our people. It's like unconditional love. I think that's more so what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And to get to the ending, I think the ending was not what nobody wanted, but I liked it.
Me too. I was in love.
I think the ending showcased that us as black people, we're not monolithic, meaning we all don't believe in the same things. We're all not going to follow the same things. And that sometimes the people that you share a blunt with might be the ones that turn you in, or the person you think that is the downest or the closest, they might actually stab you in the back.
Or the red flags that you ignore.
Yeah.
Might end up getting you into something that you was trying to prevent, but you ignored those red flags because this person was cool, or they portrayed a different person to you before you got to know them.
I wanted the ending to be either two ways. They either made it to Cuba, or the police took them into custody without killing them, and Queen was able to fight the case and win. I would have actually loved that ending.
Yeah, I was ready for them to get to Cuba. I'm like, this plane finna drop them off in the water. They finna have to swim to Cuba, but they gonna make it.
She wanted the story to keep going. Yeah. She wanted them to get on the plane tear down, they swim. Like, she wanted to sit there for another hour.
You know what I do want to point out, though? Like what you said, just as, I guess, people in general, like, I also wanted to point out just them in a relationship in general. It shows how our love stories really are. Your typical movie is like, okay, boy meets girl, he chased her, she don't trust him, they get together, and then something happened, they break up and end, and then get back together. But this is our love story. Like, we get together through trauma, and we have to deal with each other past and environments that we grew up in. So I thought that was a really good message. And then it also shows how men and women together in a relationship should be, or even two women or two men, just relationship in general, like you can tell why, yes, she was strong and she was in control, but also she knew when to compromise, because at the end of the day, she realized, okay, he's all I got.
Yeah.
Like in those moments when it mattered, it's like, he's all I got. So let me allow him to help too. And I think that's a good lesson that we can all take away from it.
Yeah. And this goes back to what I was saying about it being triggering. Like, it was tough to watch Queen take that bullet to the heart, because she had already got shot in the leg. She had already jumped out the window and dislocated her arm.
That was so funny, y'all. She said it wasn't funny, but I laughed because she told me all you got to do is jump and roll. And she hopped out that window.
She ain't roll. She didn't roll. And then Slim jumps out. Slim's like, okay, I got these instructions.
Right.
He jump out the window and he roll and he get it right.
That goes to what I showed, it goes to show that women can lead, but that doesn't mean we have all the answers. We also need help too.
Yeah.
So I like how they coexist and became partners towards the end. That was really nice for me.
But gosh,
she was taking hits the whole movie.
they was, man, Lena, we gotta talk about that, Lena. You had Queen like
she was limping the whole movie.
She really took the worst hits throughout the whole
I don't know. Sis
movie.
was serving though. Like I said, I thought she was a model, because even with that bullet wound in the leg, Sis was still walking in them heels.
She was very regal.
Yeah.
She owned everything. She owned it. Lena also, I watched the interview today where Lena talked about at the end when Queen takes the bullet and he picks her up and he walks. She said when she wrote it, that was their wedding.
Okay.
That was their wedding.
Because she was like, can I be your legacy?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she said she also made the bullet intentionally come from a white woman. Because if you see, it was the white woman who shot, and the officer was like, I didn't tell you to shoot or hold your fire.
Yeah.
She said she did that purposely because when you look back and you see how Trump got into office, it was white women. Like, we already knew the white men were going to vote for him. We knew the black women wasn't going to vote for him. The white women really were the tipping point. Like, And I did say it was a con that they took so much time to ride the horse and to go to the club and to hang out the car. But I understood why it was put there. In the middle of the movie, I didn't understand, because I'm like, we don't have time. We don't have time for this. But once the movie settles and you let it sit on you for a while, you realize like they were just trying to show at the end of the day, we're humans. That's it. We're humans. We want to smell the fresh air sometimes. Sometimes we want to ride a horse. So I understood it after it settled.
And at the end of the day, they ain't have no money. They ain't had no gas. They ain't had no car. They ain't had no house. They had nothing, but they was still finding the silver lining and all that.
Yeah.
They probably was stank as ever, but they didn't care.
Yeah, I don't remember nobody taking no bath.
They didn't care.
Maybe when they got to Bokeem's house, they did.
And I think that's a part of just like life, period. Like if you do not find like that silver lining in life, you'll be so. They would have been caught. They was like on the run for like
6 or 7 days.
Yeah, like 6 or 7 days, and I didn't even know that much time had passed. That's a long time to be on. They normally catch you quick. They was almost to Cuba, y'all. I wanted them to get to Cuba. But the last thing that I did want to point out is another lesson that I think was very relatable for me and probably a lot of other women is when she was doing like the little poetry on the narrative scene, and she was just kind of like, I don't want you to heal my wounds for me, but I want you to hold my hand as I heal my wounds, and I want you to support me, and also I want you to accept the scars that they leave behind. That was so relatable because, in general, like us, we do depend on our partner or whoever may be to, heal our issues and fix them and, just take it away, when in reality we have to do it ourselves, and we really just need the support. And so that was really, really like touching for me, because I'm like, yes, sis, that's right.
Well, see, it takes a mature person to understand that. It takes a lot of life lessons to get to that point in life, because like you said, a lot of people, when you come together in a relationship, you're looking for someone to heal you. Like, you're supposed to be here for me, you're supposed to fix me, when in reality it's up to us to fix ourselves, but to have someone like she said, to hold your hand and just go on the ride with you.
That was my favorite part. I was like, yes, sis, you hit it because even with us, we also got together with trauma and things like that, and we were looking for something, and that's how you start depending on someone for your happiness, and that's when things become a problem. So I thought that was a really big lesson, especially in the Black community, because we do suffer through a lot of trauma, whether we want to admit it or not, or whether we recognize exactly what trauma we suffer
from, because a lot of people don't even know that they are going through trauma or that they've experienced something traumatic. A lot of people can watch someone get shot and just be like, man, old boy got shot the other day, and it don't bother them. So but that's our review on Queen and Slim.
It was so good, guys. Go watch it. Get your best friend, get your boyfriend, get your girlfriend, get anybody, and go watch it. It was really good, and I don't even think it was a bad movie for kids. I know they had some.
Don't take your kids. Be 18 and up.
They had some little scenes in there.
18 and up.
They could take the kids.
Don't take
not
the
the
kids.
Little kids. Maybe 12 and up.
18 and up. I would not take my 14-year-old nephew to watch this. He would have to watch this when he's 19.
Well, they watch all the other gun violent movies.
And see, this is the end of the review. This is why she won't be invited back no more. She want to argue on the review. Thank you.
Queen and Slim, go watch it.
The best.